Alright, so we back with Dr. Gabriela, and we reached the part 2,
Part 2 years, second internship.
the second internship. Well, the second chance you get at doing
Second chance, yeah.
the internship because of what transpired in part 1.
Yes.
So let me get into it now. Part 2. What would have transpired now that you entered you get back
Yeah.
into doing the internship?
Yes.
What would have transpired within that year period?
So with this internship, which began in 2017, when I started, they placed me at the Port of Spain General Hospital this time around, and what I observed or what I analyzed was that whoever I interacted with, whichever team, it was almost as if they had a heads up of who this intern is and what happened in the past, and so they already had like a conclusion about me in their heads, be it house officer, be it other interns. So like apparently they came together. That's the way I felt. Maybe in behind my back they came together and they informed the general,
well, they spread the word basically.
that look out for her in this way or whatever. So throughout that internship from the start I was having issues. So I started off with the obstetrics gynecology rotation. I had a variety of reservations about what was going on. I wrote to Dr. Parasram more than once.
So you'd have been the chief medical officer at the time?
He was the chief medical officer, yeah.
Right.
So I wrote to him complaining about, like being ostracized from the team, excluded out of teaching opportunities, learning opportunities. I think I also complained about being victimized to a certain extent from the head of the hospital. What was her name?
Right, but
Yeah.
head
of the obstetric. She's still the same head, the same person. She hasn't changed. The current head. Head of obstetrics gynecology hospital in Port of Spain. So I even had a meeting with her. I had issues where even the human resource manager in that hospital had a meeting and we tried to settle everything. So all this, I had a good paper trail from that first rotation. It continued on into with the second rotation.
What were some of the issues that you had?
Well, as I said, I was being excluded from learning opportunities. Same kind of thing like my previous internship.
Right.
But this time I handled it differently. I didn't verbally confront the higher ranked doctors, but I wrote to the CMO, I wrote to the head of the department, and I also copied in the human resource manager.
Right, because you have seen certain things.
Yeah, and I was just had certain concerns, so I expressed my concerns, my reservations. So that was that first rotation. When I started, what is important to note as well is that the Ministry of Health started me like a month after the entire batch. So even though I started with this group of interns for this 1 year internship, I was 1 month behind them. So when they would have graduated in, say, June 2018, I would have had to wait until the end of July 2018 to graduate.
Why?
I don't know, I think it was deliberate. Like I kept, even though we had settled outside of court and I agreed and they had confirmation, yes, I'm happy to start on this specific date, they keep pushing back the date and telling me, come next week, come next week. So a whole 4 weeks, they had me running up and down, even though we settled outside of court. Like they still was just adamant about not even having me there. But eventually, because I signed a contract, even though I signed a contract for a specific date, they put it a whole month later. So they just changed. It's almost like they deceived me. So I was 1 month. So when I presented myself to the obstetrics gynecology department, those other interns were a whole month ahead of me so I don't know if it was a deliberate effort to have me behind the entire class as usual again, but now it's too obvious. So they already a whole month ahead of me, so I have to look to the interns instead of looking to the house officer, who is my higher rank. I have to look to my peers to know what is taking place and to get familiarized and stuff. So I don't know if it was a deliberate effort to keep me at the back of the class. That's the way I felt. That's what I analyzed. And I think that is also very important to know. So, right, so that my first rotation, so I just only had 2 months in obstetrics gynecology instead of a 3 month as the other interns. So I had to repeat that one, not repeat, but I had to put back in 1 month after they graduated. So when they done graduate, I have a whole month still. So I would have started a new batch of interns, kind of, you know, like if I owe or whatever. Like I didn't pass. You know, like those who fail common entrance, that kind of effect. It would have been like that now. So that was the first rotation. I had issues. The second rotation, that I came to pediatrics in Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex. I had 1 or 2 issues, but I had already resolved that I would try to comply and just do whatever they tell me, like the advice that I was getting all around, do whatever they say, try and get established as a doctor, do not confront them. So I had that kind of attitude. And any specific issues? Yes, I did have issues in pediatrics. I wrote up. I did write the CMO. He has more than 1 letters from me. So the issues continued, same kind of victimization, discrimination. So they would pull aside certain interns and guide them in a certain way and exclude me. Or like if I am seeing that I'm supposed to participate in a session and I complain and I say, no, so right, I'm supposed to participate and I can have a learning opportunity or I don't know, like a training session, and the other interns for some reason do not want me present, all East Indian. They would go to their East Indian consultant, head of the department, and complain and say, we do not want this intern here, the specific individual, because they used to have this comment, oh, she thinks she's a leader amongst us. Yeah.
She thinks she's a leader amongst us.
Yes, they always used to be saying that. I just assuming the leadership role. I just assuming a leadership role.
Is it that they were intimidated by you?
I think so. And besides that, remember, I had already done some training, but just it was ignored. Remember, this was my second attempt at internship. So even if I assume a leadership role, it's because I know something, right? Like I believe I'm confident enough. Like I've done some of this, so you know. So, but they used to have that kind of comment behind my back, and they would go to their seniors and complain, and you know, East Indian to East Indian, they used to rail, discriminate against me in that rotation, that pediatric rotation. So,
how many of you all were African doctors at that time?
Not much, maybe 5% out of in that pediatric rotation, about 5% of us were Afro-ethnic dominant.
In the same group or?
In the same group.
In the same group, okay.
5%.
And you all were being treated the same way?
No, only me.
Okay.
Only me. Yeah, and I think it was maybe because behind my, you know,
well,
they had this background
from
information from the first attempt at the internship. So they had already come together and decide how they will deal with me, how they will handle me. But me, I'm confident about what I'm doing. I love pediatrics as a specialty in the first place, so I just applied myself to the best of my ability, and for some reason that was intimidating to the others, and they used to complain until I was written up and stuff. I was written up by the head of the department, the same person who they would complain to, and I was expelled out of that rotation and expelled out of the hospital.
On what grounds?
What grounds? What was the grounds? The head of the department just told me, do not come. So it was similar kind of thing. They sent some letter to the chief medical officer and told me do not report to their team anymore. And I can't remember the details of that one. But I was expelled. They called security on me and told me I'm not to enter the doctor's quarters and I'm not to return to the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex. So I was expelled. Again, I wrote You know, so that was the third time actually. So 2018, so all this happened in 2017, and this is late 2017. Because remember, I started the internship like all August 2017. So this is like all November, like this time of the year. So they expelled me out of the pediatric rotation. I'm writing to letters. I'm writing to the Human Resource in Eric William Medical Sciences Complex. No redress, no recourse. I cannot return to the compound. I cannot resume training in pediatrics.
Does that doctor have the authority to do that?
Well, she was the head of the department at the time.
Yeah, but does she have the authority?
I don't know how they run the RHA, but I know as far as the Ministry of Health, she tell me do not come back. So, and if she put security, a big set of strong black men, happy to kick me out, happy to hold me down and to push me off, to raise their hand on me. Yeah, so that's why I had to endure. And the embarrassment of it as well, in front of everybody, in front of all my other intern colleagues and in front of all the other doctors. And they are saying, this is the way you handle this presumptuously arrogant doctor. So we get security to get her all from around us. Right? So that was the conclusion of that. And so I was home for some time again until I knew that the rotation was resumed. The next rotation for me, like you know beforehand, would be back at Port of Spain. I was supposed to start in internal medicine. So even though I wasn't getting word from the Ministry of Health, the CMO ignored me, ignored my formal letters, ignored the PSA, ignored everything. I did present myself back to train. I don't know why I do that, but I did. Because I was collecting whoever little stipend. And maybe just for shame and, you know, I take it a little like concern when I collect any stipend. I might as well at least present myself, even though nobody doesn't even care what I show. So I did present myself in January, so I just let the year run out because I was expelled from pediatrics and they didn't want to do anything about it, fix the matter. So I let the year run out and I resumed training in internal medicine in January of 2018. I just presented myself and surprisingly enough, my name was on the list. I wasn't even expecting my name to be on the list, but my name was on the list of interns and I found the group that I had to participate with. So no word was heard concerning that the pediatrics expulsion.
So what if you were set up by the pediatric department to be expelled?
Yeah.
Well, they expelled you, they get a letter saying that you're expelled from the department?
Instructed me not to return, yeah. No, well, because, yeah, they didn't give me an official letter, but they refused to put me on a different team.
So they didn't give you no letter?
They didn't give me nothing official, no. And they didn't care if I didn't show up.
But hold on.
But they just told me they put security to make sure I don't come back to the hospital. So what is that? That is not expulsion?
No, that's intimidation. Because if it is that...
And I'm writing them letters, I go to the HR department in Eric Williams and nothing is being done. That is expulsion. That is beyond intimidation. That is abuse of power.
Well, it's abuse of power, exactly.
Yeah.
And because if it is that you was not given anything in writing.
In writing, no. But I was instructed by the health department not to return verbally, and they put security.
Yeah, but verbally can't stand up in no thing.
The HR tell me as well, do not come back, do not want you there, do not come back. Whatever. So I was home for about a few weeks.
HR write you also?
They didn't write. I got a meeting with I wonder if the man is Davlin Thomas. I think so, you know, a tall, skinny man. I got a meeting with him, the HR in Eric Williams.
And he just tell you, don't come back?
Simple. Simple and plain. He said that is the instruction. We are not the people employing you. If your consultant team tell you do not return and they put security, yeah, they say they cannot intervene. So it was all biased against me. Yeah.
But you see, one of the things that I'm not getting in this whole thing is that so a man can just get up in the morning and just say, I don't want you on the compound, and that is it?
Well, they had their reasons, remember?
No, but they didn't put it in writing. They give you it in writing. And how was security?
Security had the authority to raise their hand on me, you know. All that I endured, you know, while I am girded in my professional attire and professional equipment, the security raising their hand on me, you know. What goes around comes back around. They will raise their hand on other doctors there. I hope they can handle it like me.
So they were told.
They locked me out, they raised their hand, you are not to come back here, they shout at me, run me there like a dog in plain daylight, like I present myself to work. Even though you're telling me don't come on the team, but at least I'm showing myself, I'm trying to demonstrate to them that I'm presenting myself, you understand?
Because they didn't get nothing in writing.
No, exactly.
So if they didn't get nothing in writing, how they could then tell you?
They put security, they didn't tell me, because they're trying to say that I am not even a person that they could communicate with. There's the type of, that's what they were trying to.
Yeah, but if they put that in writing, because I know a person once tried that same nonsense already, and that was wrongful dismissal.
Well, all that could have counted as a wrongful dismissal, but I didn't go that way, that route. I just say, I stay home for the rest of the year, and then I presented myself. If my name wasn't on the list in January, maybe I would have gone the route of. But I didn't even want to go through that kind of distress again. Remember, I had all that in 2016. This is now 2017.
But who's to say that your name would have been on the list, and they were denying you the opportunity?
Yes, my name was on the list. They were denying. Simple, they were denying me, and they put security guards to block me as well from the opportunity.
And nobody in the ministry wrote you, nobody.
No, nobody took an interest in what was going on. Nobody took a concern. Nobody.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So January I resumed back in Port of Spain, and I started internal medicine. Now in this rotation, like they had a pre-designed plan for me. So they set me aside. So it's almost like they put me on probation. I have to wait, sit down and wait out. Same kind of thing like what I had with the cardiology. So I'm sitting and waiting until they call me and invite me to participate on their team. So I was on probation. I couldn't do the usual as an intern. I was not allowed to do on-call, so I could only work 8 to 4. Or only work if the consultant or the registrar was present. So all that was new rules they bring. All that not in my contract. I am supposed to function as an intern and get the full exposure and experience and full training as a, to prepare me adequately to function as a medical doctor. But no, with that one they cut me. They just decide to do whatever they choose. So if the consultant wasn't present, who is hardly ever present, he comes maybe twice a week. Does ward rounds. Only on emergency, rare emergency, he would present himself because he have his private practice. You understand? So he's not really there. The main person is the registrar, and she as well don't really be there as much. So it's only if they are wrong, I am wrong. Right? So I was kind of exempted maybe from a lot of the intern duties. And in fact, listen, when I was on that rotation, they would put even the students, the medical students, ahead of me. So they would set them in positions to function as an intern and leave me out. So I was more like an observer, just observing on the outside. I'm not to participate. I was to be excluded. I was not to participate hands-on clinical experience like a real doctor. Even though I am the qualified doctor, they would put a student, like a third-year student, a third-year medical student, or a fourth-year medical student to function and those students, they used to be intimidating me. One guy came and grabbed some book we were having, like a register to record patient vital signs or something. He come and he take it from me and tell me, the consultant tell him to take it away or whatever. So even the medical students, they had victimizing me and intimidating me, and I endured all of that.
So let's fast forward now.
So that was in January of 2018.
Right,
coming
January.
down. So then we reached, so the end of that rotation came.
They went to another section.
Next section. That was supposed to be one of the final ones. That was surgery. Similar kind of instruction. I was not to participate in the major functions of a general.
They put that in writing, or they telling you that?
They just informally, just told me that. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to do general. I was just present by the consultant is there, that kind of thing. No on call, that kind of thing. Yeah. Similar kind of effect. Yeah.
So basically what I was trying to do is frustrate you out of
Frustrate me out. All this time I'm writing letters through the PSA because I was a member of the PSA, the union. I was getting them to write. I myself was writing, telling them that I didn't feel as if I was learning anything as an intern because I'm not getting hands-on experience like my counterpart colleagues or whatever. Everything was just ignored, as I said. The only time the Ministry of Health, my then employer, even took me seriously was when that Facebook post. And I least expected it. You know, I'm putting this informal Facebook post, social media. What the Ministry of Health doing there? You know, I'm writing you letters with my signature. You're ignoring that. Formal letters coming directly to you with your name on it. But you're going on my Facebook post to make a decision to fire me. You're ignoring the formal letters, but you're going on some social website without my signature or my stamp attached to it, and you're happy to fire me based on what I wrote there. Why didn't fire me based on a letter I wrote to you? Formal letter with my signature. I could have denied, I could have said my account was hacked, but I played the game to see how nasty these so-called officials could be. And I confess, yes, I wrote that. Because I could have denied it just to save my career. You could have said, pause, please. Sorry.
Good.
Yeah.
So you're getting to hear part 2, and she just had to take the other phone call there, and but we up in the Maracas Hills, basically, and so we are going to. So we're gonna get more into it now, and you know, we're gonna get more into it and deal with the whole aspect, because one of the, just now let me just make sure here that you're seeing me nice. So one of the things is that we need to get to the actual core of what would have transpired, and we gain to it, and we gain to know more and more about it, of what would have transpired. And but what is so interesting is that no documentation was delivered to her. Now this is a document here. So she is a registered and you're seeing it, right? So it's not to say that you're not seeing it. Right. So, hey, I want to know what's going on there, you know? Hey. Yeah. So, we are back. Yes, now let me just get this thing back in the hole here. I know thing about reality TV. Yes, I'm going to put him in the hole here. Trying to get the right fit. Right. So, we back talking with Miss Gabriel, Dr. Gabriel, and let me get into it now. So, you're writing a number of letters, no response.
No response. No acknowledgement.
No acknowledgements, nothing at all.
No phone call, nothing, no email, zero.
Right. Then they say they saw this Facebook rant, this Facebook post,
Yes.
and they terminated
Immediately. Suspension on an investigation.
pending the outcome of an investigation.
Right. And then they
By who?
terminate me.
By who?
The Ministry of Health.
The Ministry of Health and the Medical Board.
Employer. No, not and. Just the Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health instructs the Medical Board concerning interns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They govern the Medical Board when it comes to interns. Whatever decision the Medical Board makes, it must be based on what the Ministry of Health tells them. So if the Ministry of Health terminate me, automatically my termination with the Medical Board follows.
So the Ministry of Health would have terminated your
that
service.
was the final outcome of the investigation. Because of that Facebook post.
So you were ever given an opportunity to go before the Ministry of Health?
Yes.
You presented your
I presented my defense, I presented
your letters,
some
everything?
evidence, they have it on file. I reminded them of those letters.
And what did they say?
That during the discussion, they just listened or whatever. So in the discussion actually, it's not that they wanted to know about the Facebook post, right? So the Facebook post came about, they suspended me with investigation. The investigation brought out 26 other allegations that they had on file for me. And so the meeting was based on me giving answer to 26 allegations. Apart from the Facebook post, 26 allegations of misconduct that I knew nothing of. My then employer never informed me that people were writing me up. They never called me, spoke to me. Even though I was writing letters, they ignored it. And apparently they had, when they investigated, they had other letters coming from wherever, whatever department, 26 allegations where they claim I misconducted myself. I denied maybe all of them during the meeting. So the meeting was not ready to find out. Like, I don't know what you would say that meeting should have been about. Where I could explain.
Well, you didn't get you get the opportunity to be heard.
To be heard, but the hearing was to defend myself against 26 allegations in the absence of legal advice, because it was like 2 days later.
So you had no legal counsel?
No legal counsel. I wrote formally what my answers to those allegations was. I presented myself, myself. I stood before my employers. I was happy to finally even, like, I was corresponding to them. I was corresponding to a ghost.
No, but did they tell you or did they inform you that you have the right for legal counsel?
No, they didn't advise me of that.
So you wasn't given an opportunity to get a lawyer to call in and tell you, we want to have a meeting with you, answer to this, answer to that.
Yeah. 26
so they never even give you an opportunity to answer none of the allegations through a lawyer being present, or no trade union or nobody?
No.
Your union, you contacted the union?
I did, yeah. The union just came and sat in.
And said nothing?
Said nothing, no comment.
Who was the person?
PSA, they sent 2 people from PSA. It's true, I had trade union, so I went to them, I informed them of the instruction I got, and they said okay, they will send 2 individuals. They came, they just sat in. So it's almost like they came to write minutes of the meeting. Not to say they came to defend me or to stand up with me. I didn't feel I was supported in that way.
But the union never made a proper representation for you?
Well, they presented. They
sit in.
They didn't speak on my behalf, no.
But
I spoke for myself.
And they didn't advise you?
No, I asked them, and as I said, I went to them beforehand. I asked them for counsel. They said the most they could do is send a PSA representative. I had 2 people there.
The union wrote to because alright, now if you had the union representing you.
Yes.
Well, supposing they sat in, but they didn't really represent you.
No.
Did the Ministry of Health, knowing that the union rep was there, did they even say, well, okay, well, you have a union representative, we're going to give you enough time to go study the charges, any of the other things.
No, they didn't. It was nothing like that. It was not a discussion. It was just answer to these allegations, and the union rep sat on my side and just listened to what was taking place. So I didn't really have defense, support, or anything. No.
Right. And so after they had that meeting, then what?
After that meeting, based on that meeting, the decision was made to terminate me completely. Whatever it is, they were so offended about whatever I replied with those allegations, those 26 allegations, as well as the Facebook post, and the decision was final.
So you responded to 26 allegations where you knew nothing of? Because they never sent it in writing to you, nothing at all?
Nothing.
And the union said nothing?
Said nothing.
You remember who was the union person who was present with you in that meeting?
I just know they came from PSC.
One with a ponytail or anything?
No, not those big gentlemen. They sent simple people. Like not those with the high executive posts of the PSA, no. Not Mr. Monroe. Is Monroe?
Maury and all of them? Or Hoover, none of them? Don't Duke, none of them?
Nah. Them was too big for that meeting.
So they just basically sent two juniors to sit in?
Juniors, yeah, who sat in.
And none of them spoke on your behalf?
Minutes of the meeting. No. I don't know if they even recorded that.
They never called you after that?
No. Like I asked them, please, so what you all think? I need representation to help me get back my job. They told me, plain as day, Mr. Murray told me I need to stand the consequences of my action, and they are not supporting what I did with that Facebook post. And
yeah, but they talking about the Facebook post, but you were asked to answer 26 charges outside of that.
And they were a part of the process where I was writing letters all these months.
Them was part and parcel.
I'm telling you, they wrote a lot of letters on my behalf. So they have a whole file where I had complaints, and I was coming to them, please, can you contact my employer? They refused to release certain information, my personal diagnosis for psychiatric evaluation. Please, can you contact them so that I will know what these psychiatrists are saying about me and what is the treatment plan? And I'm asking them to write on my behalf. They wrote on my behalf. Maybe wrote about 10 letters on my behalf, because I always used to be behind them. Because I was writing, you know. I had my own personal paper trail, and then I also had the...
You have any of them copies?
On me now? Yeah, just get my...
Let me... Let me...
I just had to run through and see maybe.
Yeah, because...
Okay. I actually have one here. It may not be too relevant, but at least there were no PSA did used to correspond on my behalf, right?
And when PSA write, would
not even then the ministry used to reply to me or acknowledge.
So they never write back the union?
Never. They used to even call the union. Used to even call them, and they would say yes, we'll contact you, and nothing. I have a letter right somewhere here with the PSA stamp on it, so you would know, yes, the PSA.
And that one is what?
Was involved. This was a response where I wrote to my head of the department, and he replied to me. Not to the Ministry of Health, I just wrote to the head of the Northwest Department.
Telling them what?
I was asking for time off to write, so Sundays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because at that time I used to be involved with my church a lot, like serving in different capacities. Oh, alright, look something in writing here, but that is not the PSA, but I'll explain what our letter is. The PSA thing is, oh, alright. But you see, like a PSA stamp here, where they wrote at the same Sunday thing, I wanted the Sundays off, and they refused, but they didn't reply to the PSA.
They write you directly?
They write me directly.
Really?
Right, so this is PSA. There's just evidence that PSA used to write letters on my behalf. But even though PSA wrote, remember, I also wrote personally. So I used to just have PSA as a real backup kind of way, you know.
So this one is...
This one is where, this is 9 January 2017. So this is when I started the internal medicine rotation, where I just presented myself and my name was on their list. Yeah, 2017. Right, so this was what they cut off. So they came up with a new outline of what my internship should be. Even though there was a general internship everybody else should follow, this specific team, headed by a Dr. Jurawan of the Internal Medicine Department in Northwest Regional Health Authority in Port of Spain, he came up with his own stipulations for me to function under. So he's saying here the hours of work is 8 to 4, whereas an intern works around the clock, goes on call, does you know, whatever is necessary to train and to efficiently function. Right? So I was cut off to 8 to 4, regular late arrivals discouraged. Leaving the hospital prior to the end of the due is to be approved by a senior member, responsible as assigned to you by the overseeing officer, whereas that may be a house officer, registered consultant, or the health department. You are not to self-assigned task. Take counsel and guidance from those above you daily. But in this specific rotation, they were even putting the medical students above me. Right? Whereas they outlining here, the seniors are the house officer, registered consultant, or health department. But in this one, I saw them. I had experiences where they put the medical student above me. Even though they sign here, see, sign Dr. Tunisha La Rosa. But then the same person is sending a medical student to withdraw my function, take away the some registrar book or whatever, and to remove my role as an intern. So the medical student was just functioning in that. So I had to look at what the medical student was doing. You understand?
Alright. So you have any more letters and anything?
A variety, yeah.
No, let me see them, because you see, people will think that you never respond, or you never
Right, so this was the new contract. 60. No, they reminded me. Some letter, there's like a letter where they are telling me I must go to some psychiatrist, so you can watch it through. See the date, 2017. Alright, so this was the response. Remember, I was expelled out of the pediatrics, so they ignored all of that and just told me go and see a psychiatrist.
So it's saying here, I refer to your letter to the Ministry of Health dated December the 1st, 2017.
Right.
So further reference is to be made to the ministry's letter to the date November the 29th and July the 28th, 2017, respectively. Your internship agreement with the ministry dated August the 30th, 2017, and the copies, and the settlement agreement of trade dispute number 743 of 2016, as confirmed by your email. So you see in the paper trail of June the 27th, 2017. Copies of these correspondence are attached for ease of reference. In this respect, we kindly remind you that your internship with the ministry is premised, on the condition that you are routinely attending psychiatric and psychological public health clinics
as directed
by the ministry and that therefore you are required to be clinically assessed to the as determined by me.
Who is me? Who is this person? I think that is, yeah, Parasram wrote me that. You see Parasram and his signature there, Chief Medical Officer. But is he a psychiatrist? To be clinically assessed as determined by me. Me meaning Dr. Parasram. I didn't even know he was so involved in this case. Wow. And he is sitting on the medical board all this time, right?
Accordingly, this letter serves as a second notice to your good self that an appointment has been made for you to be seen by Dr. Nilini Babulal, consultant specialist psychiatric and head of the mentioned address at the proposed date and time. Okay. Mike Williams, please confirm. So they send you for psychiatric evaluation.
Yeah. I don't know if Dr. Parasram is even a psychiatrist. Please, I'd like to know if Dr. Parasram, what specialty Dr. Parasram sits on. He can't be psychiatrist if he's so involved with his corona. He have to be an internist.
Well, I don't know, but let that
as determined by me, clinically assessed. Are you a psychiatrist? That is my question. Wow, I'm now reading this properly.
Well, this is one. Let me see next one here.
This is the
allegations of misconduct. So they were basically mounted a case, eh?
Yeah. This July the 6th. There's the day that they terminated me. I think there's the termination letter.
Alright, so this is it. The letter of allegations dated June the 14th, 2018 from the Ministry of Health to your good self. Read the subject as caption refer. With reference to the said letter dated June the 14th, 2018, your letter dated the 21st of June 2018 and your explanation given at and contained in the minutes of the meeting held with Miss N. Citran, N. Citran, B. Jeffers, Dr. J. St. Bernard, and your good self. On June the 27th, 2018, the Ministry of Health noted admission to committing the following allegations.
Alright, so maybe one.
Allegation 3. No, I see allegation 1, eh?
No, so right. These are the ones maybe that I admitted to out of the 26. Yeah.
So, alright. Just now. So,
yeah.
An intern was allowed to make an allegation and you were not given an opportunity to respond. Only when they bring this thing, then you get the opportunity.
Exactly, yeah. So I had no information that the person made an allegation. Only when the Facebook post came out and they came out with 26 allegations, then I knew somebody was complaining.
That one, you insubordinate to your supervisor. When you sent him a message, Dr. BC, I do not appreciate you calling my phone and shouting at me as if I am a child and threatening me.
Yes, he was calling me several times.
You are very out of order, and I will be reporting you to the relevant authorities. So they put that as an allegation.
Yeah.
Right? So they didn't deal with that.
No, they never did that. They said that was an allegation. I didn't know this man write me up and everything. So this year...
So you get to respond when they now tell you about this particular allegation.
Yeah.
Right?
I did admit that I said Dr. Bass.
No, well, you tell him, you respond. You can't be calling me to tell me that.
Yeah, and shouting. And if you hear this man was getting on several times, you know.
And then now we go to that on November the 17, 2017.
Yeah.
You brought your employee into dispute by accusing Dr. Vindra Singh, clinical head of Department of Pediatric Medicine, Eric Williams, Medical Science Complex of condoning racism, discrimination.
Yes.
How you could bring her into dispute if you talking based on what you're seeing?
Yes, and experiencing.
So you mustn't talk on nothing in the medical fraternity.
No. And this was when when I said these interns would go behind my back and say this person, this intern is trying to assume a leadership role over us. So all of them are East Indian. They go into this East Indian consultant, Vindra Singh, and complaining about me. So I told her apparently this is racist. So I said that.
Alright.
I say, well,
so on May 20th, 2018, you perform your duty in a negligent manner by being unable to extract blood from Paul A. Grant, a patient on Ward 13 at the Port of Spain General Hospital.
So how was that negligent? I was unable. The man, he was a kind of difficult patient, but even though I was unable, I had my senior ranked house officer was able to come and do it. After he had all tried several attempts, but they claiming I am negligent because I was not competent to do it on the first stick or the second stick.
But I have seen on many occasions, I of myself would have been in the hospital and I got about 5 chokes.
Look at that. From
in order to get
doctor, but I only tried twice and they find I was negligent.
Well, it wasn't.
They wanted me to try maybe 10 times.
Well, if I tell you,
my senior.
Well, if I tell you honestly, sometimes the doctors never even give me the choke. It was nurses.
Look at that, yeah.
But you brought your employer into dispute by indicating to Paul A. Grant, a patient on Ward 13. This will be the same patient.
Yeah.
Right? At the Port of Spain General Hospital, that a black man anatomy is different from a white man anatomy, or words to that effect. That's what I bring the allegation and say, but you can't recall saying that.
No, I did maybe I just mentioned it. He's a white man, he come from somewhere in the UK. Which is significant. I find that was significant. He was the only white man in the whole hospital anyways. So something I trying to think the blood, and he wasn't a pleasant patient at all. So I said something to the effect. He asked me, well, why it is I can't take his blood, or why I'm not getting through successful. I said, well, maybe your anatomy is a bit different from the usual Afro-Caribbean male that I will deal with on a daily basis. And apparently the man was offended with that. Because I was feeling like palpating for the vein or whatever, for the tourniquet, and still for some reason I can't get this man vein properly. And he is commenting and saying, why it is you not so in an aggravant manner. And I just mentioned, that was just my response. It is possible that the average African male has a different anatomy to yours, so maybe that's why, it's a little bit more difficult for me to be successful with you. But he took it in an offensive manner, and the Ministry of Health was happy to make mention of that. And claim that I brought them into dispute for that type of... But in my contract, never say I mustn't make comments like that. I could show you a copy of the contract too. The termination of the contract, maybe we could run through that.
Let me see the termination of the contract.
Yeah. So this is the agreement.
So they the agreement here?
Yeah, the 30th of August.
Alright.
And if we could just run through, skip some pages and run through what the grounds for termination is. Termination of contract.
Alright, so let me see if I get this here now. Alright. Grounds for termination. The intern medical services may terminate his or her employment at any time after 3 months from the date of the commencement of the agreement by giving no less than 1 month written notice to the permanent secretary, head of department, or by payment of 1 month's salary, right, to you. The permanent secretary, head of the department, may terminate the employment of the intern medical services at any time after 3 months from the date of the commencement of this agreement for cause other than the breach of the agreement and misconduct, including poor performance as reflected in the performance appraisal report, or situations where the contractual positions are abolished or are no longer relevant to the ministry department by the provision to the intern medical service of 1 month written notice or
but
by
they never
payment.
gave me the 1 month salary. I didn't even get that.
That's what it's saying here.
Yeah.
The employment, I don't want to reach you the camera.
I got 0. I just had to leave.
The employment of the intern medical services may be terminated, breach of agreement or misconduct without notice of payment of salary. Yeah?
Oh, all right, yeah.
Upon termination under subclause C, all rights and advantages reserved to the intern medical services by the agreement shall cease. In the event of the termination of this engagement by the intern medical services at any time prior to the expiration of 3 months from the commencement of the term of the engagement for any reason other than ill health of the intern medical services or of its determination by the intern medical services after the said period of 3 months without him or her first given 1 month notice of such intended termination. The intern medical services shall pay the government a sum equal of 1 month's salary to liquidate damages. So they basically take away that month one time from you.
Yeah. What damage I do? I don't know.
Further employment. 3 months prior to the completion of the engagement, the intern. Alright, and these are the people who sign it. Right?
At that time it was them, right? Richard Marjorie, permanent secretary.
So where this whole Facebook thing came in now?
Which Facebook? The Facebook post?
No, well, they put that in the allegations in terms of the thing, but
yeah,
in terms of the
contract.
The contract, where does that Facebook thing come in?
They had no, yeah, but maybe their grounds, termination of contract, they use part D where they, upon termination, so they just chose to terminate me. The employment of the intern medical services may be terminated for breach of agreement or misconduct. So they claim they have all these misconduct without notice or payment of salary in lieu of notice. Yeah. So that
so
I feel this was what they
bring,
used to terminate.
No, but they didn't terminate you based on the thing.
Misconduct. Yeah, that's
no,
what
they didn't terminate you based on the Facebook post. They terminate you based on allegations
of misconduct.
That
not even
what the people were saying without giving you an opportunity.
Yeah. Also, that is what they use actually. So they just use, because I admitted to some allegations, they said yes, this is misconduct. So I admitted to telling the white man that maybe his anatomy is a bit different from a black man. So I was terminated for saying that.
But what would you have meant by saying...
So they claim that is misconduct. I don't see how that
No, but
misconduct.
What would you have meant by saying the white man anatomy might be a little different?
Like the location of his veins on his hands.
Okay.
Yeah, so where I'm about to tap for blood, even though I'm palpating and maybe feeling a vein, it could be maybe a ligament or some other part of the tissue and not necessarily a vein. So that's why I was just saying, just to comfort the gentleman for him to please allow me to try again.
And the senior officer
Yeah.
would have taken it to mean that it was a racist comment.
No, not the senior officer. The patient apparently took it as I brought my employer to disrepute. He reported me for that.
No, but
Not the senior. The senior
Who would
officer
have been
had
there?
difficulty as well. If he admit what was going on, the
no,
senior
but
officer.
who? No, but they didn't put that in the allegation.
No, but they
But
say
who
the
would have been
patient.
there? Who would have been there when the?
Nobody, just me and the patient. Just me and the patient in the little examination room, and I'm trying to comfort him and encourage him. Please, just allow me to
But
try.
the senior
Maybe you're
personnel
not
would have
feeling-
come after and
When I recognized on 2 attempts I was not successful, I went and got my senior officer, but maybe the gentleman wanted me to keep trying on him. And he was vexed that I went and get, because he expressed rage. The senior officer was taken aback when he was trying to tap the blood from the man, and real drama, but eventually he was successful.
Okay.
But he and all was complaining how he's a difficult patient. If he honest, he will come out. He's an East Indian doctor. If he honest, he will come out and say.
But
Okay, remember.
tell me something. So, all you need basically is 1 year to complete, and you could get a medical license.
Yes.
Who have to give you this medical license?
It have to be approved by the medical board. Yeah, just the medical board, that's it. Medical board of Trinidad and Tobago.
But do you think that if you get the 1 year experience,
Yeah.
do you think they will give it?
Yes, once I satisfy the stipulation requirements. So these were the requirements here. Number 1, satisfactory evidence of identity and 2 passport photos. I could produce that. Production of qualifying diploma. Well, you'll go inside and see my diploma, my medical, to practice in country of issue. Production of any current license or evidence or registration. Well, I didn't have that. Letter of good standing with last registration body. I would have been able to acquire that from the same medical board. A letter of good standing that, you know, I trained for a year or whatever, and a letter of good character, reference or name of senior colleague. So just one senior doctor to provide a letter of good character, and then receipt of payment of registration fee. Yeah.
So,
That was the other requirements, not hard actually. You get a letter from some senior, you can choose, it must have one person that would write something kind about you. But I think it should have one. Maybe now it doesn't have any.
but do you have to get it from Trinidad or you can get it from outside?
No, it have to be where trained under
No,
the
well,
same medical board.
No, well, on the
Yeah,
same
this
medical.
medical board of Trinidad and Tobago, so it had to be under in this jurisdiction where they survey in this jurisdiction, you understand, in Trinidad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to practice here in Trinidad and not outside.
No, I can't afford it right now. If I get a little heads up and I maybe train for like a 3 years, save some money, and yeah, if they want me to go, allow me, but they didn't even want to allow me to train and to get a little funds to raise to exit. But I mean to say, why you pressuring me to exit the land of my birth, the land of my heritage, my family's inheritance? Why you all pressuring me to go for what? Why? To please who? You
Do
push
you
me out
think-
my job, you want to push me out my own country too?
But let me answer this question.
I already had to travel to go and study to be a medical doctor. If I choose to remain here to work, that is nobody concern, nobody business. It is my choice and it is my right and my privilege.
No, but let me ask you this question. How many doctors in the medical fraternity right now are Afrocentric?
But I haven't done a
You didn't do the
survey,
survey.
but on observation, I would say maybe 10%. It increased over the years because UWI Medical School kind of opened its doors to the Afro-ethnic race a little because of GATE. But when I began training for medicine back in 2010, it was closed to people like me. It's only the exceptional who had links, like your mother was the permanent secretary. I know someone who I went to secondary school with. Her mother was the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health for some years. She and all had to wait, Afro-ethnic, and she had to wait to get, even though she did A-levels like in convent in Port of Spain, prestige school. We attended the same secondary school. We were in the same classes, you know, intelligent, comparable to me. But her mother was the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health. She had to wait a year to get in, and she eventually got in to UWI Medical School. For me now, my mom was not the permanent secretary or even Minister of Health. I applied to medical school. I did a first degree before I even applied to improve my chances to get in. I graduated with upper second class honors. I just missed the first class honors by a point something of the GPA. But I know people who even graduated with first class honors and still Afro-ethnic could not get into medical school. Anyway, barring all of that, I couldn't get in, so I tried elsewhere and I was able to land a spot at St. George's University. Right? So yeah.
So how come...
Maybe 10% is Afro-ethnic.
But let me ask you this question. Because plenty people will say, how come nobody... Because we see in Dr. Fruitcan standing up for this doctor here now. And saying how they can't fire him, they can't take me license, you could sue them, you could do this, you could do that. How come the same thing did not apply to you?
Yeah. I don't know.
Why?
Maybe because I'm not an established doctor.
No, but why? But we had a doctor who lied in the car park.
Yeah, and
said that she was being robbed and all the different things.
That was horrible.
And
it was all confabulated.
And she just apologized and she was allowed to continue.
Yeah. And she was an intern too, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how come?
Me specifically, I do
and
not
that is
know.
a serious allegation of making lives.
Yeah. Wasting police time. She should have been charged. She should have been barred from ever practicing.
So, no, but one of the things...
Honest with petty things like that, and you have people's lives in your hand?
Well, from the time she would have done that, I am now questioning...
She needed a psychiatric.
No, but one of the things that I'm asking now is, were you literally set up?
Yeah, I think so. I think it has a personal component to this victimization. I don't know where it's coming from. It could be coming as far as back from my medical school, or I don't know how far. I do not know the link. I do not know. I do not care to know. Right?
No, but they take away your opportunity.
Yeah, they take away my life, essentially. My daily bread, my life, the essence of my existence. You know, they took it away. I don't know why. I may never know why. I do not care to know why. All I know is that justice should prevail in this society that we claim to be democratic, that we claim to enforce every creed and race finds an equal place. Right? That is all. That is all I know of or I care about. When
you were halted before the medical, did any one of these so-called Afrocentric groups come out in your defense?
None. Not one, nobody. The entire country persecuted me. If whoever I approached for assistance, they would say, I have to stand the consequences of my action.
So right? You had to stand your consequences?
They told me that.
Who would have told you that? Black people?
Black people, unions, PSA told me that. People who I was paying for a service, consultancy, who I paid consultancy, industrial relations people, they would tell me I have to stand, even though I pay you for a service to represent me or to try to investigate or whatever.
So none of them stood up
None
and
of
say,
them, with or without money, whether I be voluntary, whether I be involuntary, whether I paid them or whether I paid now.
No black lawyer neither?
No black, not to say black, any race, but specifically the black man was against me. In general, the black woman was against me. My own people, my own relatives, they said, they were like, I brought that on myself, and I will have to stand the consequence. I have to be more responsible of what I do and with how I comport myself as a professional in this noble profession, and I will just have to stand the consequences of my action. But no one stood with me and said they cannot take away my license, like how I'm seeing this man has his support group. Not even my own people, not even people in the church stood on my side. The general consensus was that I should be disciplined, and they agreed with the extensive and the extreme discipline by the Ministry of Health to terminate and to completely bar me from any prospect of practicing as a medical doctor. I don't know if they don't want to see me eat food, they want to see me become a vagrant, to beg, to eat out of the dustbin, to live at the side of the road, to beg for my daily bread, to prostitute my body, to survive. I do not know. God knows. And I don't care to know. As I said, I do not care to know. God knows, and that is sufficient for me.
Well, I want to thank you, Dr. Grabreil, for this interview, and I am going to do following up. I do just let the story end just so, some form of closure, because I'll be waiting to see what will transpire on the first in terms of his response to the medical board with Dr. Sow and other matters that are arising now from the medical fraternity. But I'll wait to see, and I will get back to you.
Sure. Thank you as well for your time, taking the time to hear my story and to share it with whichever listening ear, and possibly advocate on my behalf, right? That is what I'd appreciate any kind of advocacy. I felt as if I was unfairly treated from the start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you.